Hey guys, so I've just finished watching this conversation between Connor Tomlinson and Andrew Gould, and they made a lot of interesting points in this, but I think the ones that I want to concentrate on today are the topics that he raised around RICU, the Research, Information and Communications Unit in the UK. I'll talk about them in a sec. And the other one being that there may be some subverted influence or subversive influence within our government, and it may be Islamized. Two really, really strong points that he made. And like I said, it's an hour and 4 minutes long. It's a little bit wordy, but he makes some really excellent points. I would suggest you go and watch it. And when it comes to the subversion of the United Kingdom and its political system and legal system, this was also touched on the Lotus Eaters, where they claimed that at least 14 NGOs are steering the asylum accommodation system. And they go into some detail here, but what you really get from this is that there's a broad coalition of these different charities and NGOs that are inserted into every single stage of the asylum system, even from before they get in this country. So at every single stage, the asylum seeker has help from one of these NGOs, one of these charities, a lot of them paid for by the government. So again, when they say that there's a system that's currently in the UK government, in the immigration system, in the system itself, that is maligned against the interests of the country, this is what they're talking about. And when I was talking about earlier about RICU, this is, you can read this summary if you want. Hang on, if I can. There. So you can read this if you want, but I'll summarize it for you. RICU is basically just a propaganda arm of the UK government to gaslight you into not talking about Islam or its effects or the effects of mass immigration by using altruism, your empathy and altruism, to convince you that doing so would endanger you, yourself, the public, and the victims of said crimes. It's a long way of saying it's a government body that is designed to shut people up when it comes to criticising Islam or mass immigration into this country or its effects. A very good example of this is when there was a terrorist attack in the UK. Someone got beheaded, and the very next day, the front page of The Sun was the very common image of a woman wearing a British burqa. I mean, we see these all the time. Incredibly common. No, actually, we never, ever fucking see this, ever. Not once in my entire life. Weird, isn't it? Very next day. And this is what they would do. They would convince the families to say, don't look back in anger. And they would convince the public that actually they might be the perpetrators of the crimes, but they are in fact the victims. You stupid, stupid pleb.
If raising legitimate concerns about thousands and thousands of unchecked foreign males illegally entering our country makes me far right, then so be it.
Remember this guy? How the whole world just freaked the fuck out when this guy killed himself by taking an overdose, and then they proceeded to blame the police officer for doing a standard procedure. And riots ensued across the world. Governments, they didn't seem to mind that one bit. They didn't seem to mind that at the time at all, did they? In the UK, in Europe, in America. In fact, it almost seemed like the government was enjoying the looting and the rioting. But when it comes to white people getting attacked, there's media silence. Absolutely nothing. And the more horrific the crime, the greater the reaction from units like RICU. And I don't know if they've got these in Ireland, but when I saw this, I immediately just thought of the Southport incident and how they tried to gaslight everyone into not talking about it then. So there was a stabbing in Carrigaline, if I'm saying that right, I don't know. So, and a TD, now I don't know what a TD is. This is like Ireland, weird Irish shit. TD pleads with public not to share horrific video of teen in County Cork. So they've come out and they've basically had the same line of attack as they do in the UK when something like this happens. They've came out and said, please, you need to not think about this, not talk about it, not share the media. You need to please don't share anything, don't talk about anything. We need to not look back in anger. We need to move on from this. Nothing to see here. And if you do say something, you're the bad guy. You're the bad guy for sharing information that the public can't handle or some shit like this, right? And since they really, really don't want me to show it to anyone, I thought that's exactly what I would do. The problem is that they don't tell the other people that, you know, the ones committing the crimes. They get to say shit like this. Sooner the Irish white boys accept that they are physically inferior, the better for everyone. How many videos we have? How many videos we have? Fucking Jesus Christ, these people are retards. To post how many videos do we have to post of little white boys rolling around on the ground while their women plead for mercy from a black king? It takes a lot of black kings to beat up one fucking white kid though, doesn't it? It's a bit weird. So proud of the Carrigaline, Ballincollig, whatever, fucking Jesus Christ. Black boys, whatever, right? So, and they've been spreading messages along the same lines. And this is the guys that attacked this young fellow here. So, he was an African fellow, or half African, half caste, Stephen Yamslaw, 17 at the time. He got 18 months for this. He served a year in prison, and he's out now. And you might be thinking, well, of course, that's not a big deal. But this was actually a pretty bad one. They joked about finding a white boy before they left. They all texted each other before they left the house. Big gang of half-caste and African kids. They then found the white kid. They beat him unconscious. They then continued to kick him in the head while he was down. And this girl then jumped on top of him to protect him, at which point they rolled him over onto his side and proceeded to stab him multiple times in the small of the back. Because they don't stop. They're animals. And that's why it's covered up, guys, because this is not actually uncommon. Racial hatred and racially aggravated hate crimes are very, very common in this country. It's just that you've been gaslit to believe that it's against the minorities, who are probably not even the minorities at this stage, because the government's on record lying about immigration constantly. So who knows what the real fucking figures are. But we have to deal with this weird paradigm in which we're not allowed to talk about anything that happens to us, but when something happens to them, the whole fucking world burns. Again, appeal for the public not to share the footage of the Cork stabbing. Why? Does it make them look bad?
Stop that.
And this is the lad, this is the lad. He's out now on the streets. Absolutely brutal attack in which he tried to kill the guy. You're stabbing someone. You're stabbing someone repeatedly while they're down on the ground. You continue to kick them in the head while they're unconscious. Yet he got 1 year and he's out already. Have you heard of Corey McCrimmon? He's a 16-year-old kid. Have you ever heard of that name? Have you ever heard of the incident? This guy here, stabbed in the heart by a 14-year-old African. Not heard of that, but you've heard of George Floyd. And you've not heard of these ones because we have organisations in the UK and in Ireland and in all over the West where they actively go out of their way to suppress any kind of public noticing. They go out of their way to stop and suppress any kind of news related to black on white crimes or Muslim on white crimes. I mean, this one you might have seen, but again, probably not. Someone screaming Allah Akbar before running up to the Gardaí and stabbing them well, this one got stabbed a couple of times in his side before he realized what the hell was going on. The migrants, I've talked about this before, the migrant then proceeded to try and attack them. He was taken down onto the floor, and eventually a passing woman came over to try and help the migrant. I talked about that before. Really got to up your game, women. Like, your suicidal empathy will be the end of us all. But again, did you hear much about this? I mean, there's a lot of things that they don't want you to know about. They really, really don't want you to know about. And I'm assuming that this is one of them, right? The jihadi training camp in the UK. You not heard about that? Spiritual warrior camp. That sounds like it belongs in the UK, doesn't it? That sounds like it's fucking belonging in the... That sounds amazing. Wow, we should definitely not stop this.
Thoughts?
Yay, let's import millions of fighting-age men and let them set up training camps in these luxurious manor houses in the middle of nowhere. That's not going to end badly for anyone involved at all. This is not going to end badly at all. This is going to be perfectly fine. What is the UK government thinking of? Well, here's the thing. If there is really a Islamist network in the UK government that is at all levels trying to subvert the will of the people, well, this makes perfect sense then, doesn't it? They probably want you to know about this as well. An Islamic summer camp started in Hertfordshire, UK, to radicalise children. Starting from the ages of 9 to 14, strict Islamic codes will be enforced throughout the entire camp. They'll have to wear the Muslim bullshit and do the Muslim bullshit things. Oh, and the girls are separated, because of course they are. But yeah, it's the far right, guys. It's all the far right. It's your problem. It's definitely your problem for noticing things. And whatever you do, you need to listen to Raikou and the UK government when they tell you to shut the fuck up and stop noticing things. See you later.